Of you have flaws? How many? Let me see your hands. Real high. Well, lovely. I'm glad that you said that. I have flaws and I'm bisexual. Because I'm bisexual. I just happen to be married to a man for the last 26 years. I honestly believe people fall in love with who they fall in. Thank you, dear. They fall in love with who they fall in love with. And I think if we're open enough and willing enough to hear what we hear and know what we know, the gender is not going to be as important going forward. It certainly doesn't seem to be to the next generation. I have this really funny story about when Will was in grade school, and I picked him up from school, and he said, he's going to kill me, but you slept in, it's your problem. So he's probably watching right now. He's trying to run over here right now. Yes. No, he's still sleeping. Well, get in the car to pick them up, and Nora says to me, "Dad, Will was asked out today." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. Who asked you out?" And before he even had a chance to say it to me, Nora blurts out his name, right? And so she says, and I can't remember the kid's name, but, oh God, what was it? It was a really cool name. And he was a really cool little kid. And so I said to Will, I was like, "Really? What did you tell him?" And he said, "I told him I'd think about it." So now I'm like, oh my. So I go home and I get to Kevin, I went, Will's thinking about whether he's gay or not. And Kevin's like, so? I was like, it just never occurred to me. He said, "It never occurred to you you'd have a gay child?" I said, "No, because it's not really about the way you're raised, it's just oh yeah, you're right, it could be." So anyway, we get in the car the next day, and we're driving in back to school, and I said to him, "So, have you given any thought to the question?" And he said, "Dad, okay, I hate to disappoint you, but I am straight." I was like, "Disappoint me? What do you mean disappoint me?" I said, "You're not going to disappoint me because you're straight." He says, "No, it's just that I don't want anybody to think that I think there's a better, like either one of them's better than the other. And so I didn't want to upset him or say to him, no, like, oh, that's awful. So I just said, let me think about it. So today I'm going to tell him I'm pretty sure I'm straight." I was like, wow, that's amazing. I said, "That's good." And I thought, what an amazing way to handle this. And then Nora from the back seat, she goes, "Just so you know, I am definitely straight." Then I thought all my attention went off of Will to really. Yeah. So, yeah. She slept in today too. See what happens? So flaws. Now, I can tell you that for many, 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 many years, I absolutely thought being gay was a flaw. And this first line, I'm through with flaws. And let me give you the exact lyric, even though you're sitting right there. "I'm finished disguising flaws." Yes. Right? Yes. How many of you are finished disguising your flaws? Yes. Wow, did you hear that? Not a lot. So when we look at flaws, so I want to ask you, so you told me how many of you have flaws. The very fact that you think you have flaws is why I'm going to stand up here and talk today. So if you think you have flaws, what are they? What are your flaws? I'm going to ask you to not yell them out to me. Yelling out is your flaw? That's not such a flaw. It's just annoying to other people. No. It's not your flaw. It's their flaw. They can't hear it. So I want you to think about what are your flaws. And more importantly, who decided it was a flaw? Like, who decided that was a flaw? I grew up in a household where one of my biggest flaws was that I was overly rambunctious. I know you can probably see some of that still left a little bit. I was a little bit active. And I said a lot, and I always said what I was thinking. You know, and my mother would always say to me, "Jimmy, you just talk too much. You talk too much." Who knew I'd make a living out of it? You talk too much. And so I saw that as a flaw, and for a while I got very introverted. Really brief, but it was a while. I was introverted. And I was afraid to really say too much because I thought someone was going to say to me, "You're being a little over the top. You're a little bit over the top." So what are your flaws and where did they come from? So let's look at the word flaw. So flaw as a noun means some sort of a mark, a blemish. That's what a flaw is as a noun, a blemish. But as a verb, let me tell you what this says as a verb. As a verb, a flaw is that which weakens something. So you may have a blemish that you consider a flaw, a blemish in your personality, in your life, in your history, in your past, whatever. And it is weakening you because you've decided it's a flaw. And the title of the talk today is, what are you hiding behind? Because in essence, we tend to hide behind our flaws, believe it or not. When you see it, what do? You cover it up. You try to get rid of it. I mean, just think about the case of acne. Acne looks like a blemish. It is a blemish on the skin. How many people just put that face to the wind and say, too bad, this is who I am, this is what's here, this is how it goes. I love your song, Camouflage. I'm finished disguising flaws. I'm finished putting all the crap over top of me to cover the things I don't like about myself. If we're going to take action this month, we have to be willing to really look at this stuff and say, what's the flaw that I see in my life? What do I think is a flaw? And is it really a flaw if there's no such thing as a flaw? What is it? And do I need to cover it up? Do I need to literally hide from it, put it in front of me, or put it behind me and put something in front of it? That's the issue. We are hiding behind things that really aren't what we think they are. So I want you to think today, I really want you to ask yourself, what flaws are you letting create the life you're living? Many people are living lives of reaction to something. I met someone this week who was just diagnosed with cancer, and they called me because I had gone through it. And one of the things that came out was this concept of, and what was said to me was, I've been told that now this is my life going forward. I will always be, I will for the next so many months be the person that's fighting cancer, and after that, I will be the person that constantly keeps cancer away, or I'll end up being a cancer survivor. And this person was like, and you know what? I'm going to be okay with that. That's just who I am now. Now I am a cancer person. And I said, well, I'm not. I'm just not. I mean, am I a cold person? I had a cold once. I'll say it, am I a Broadway person? Just because I happen to be on Broadway in a very big part? No, it doesn't make me a Broadway person. It's just part of who I was. And continue to talk about it day in and day out, right? So we just have to ask ourselves, I could say that since I haven't been on Broadway, that's a flaw. I did it once, I never went back. Is that a flaw? No. So what I really want you to look today and ask yourself, what are my flaws? What are my flaws? If I look at myself, and I always ask myself the same questions I'm going to ask you. So I was like, what are my flaws? One of the flaws I have is this huge scar on my neck, and I've talked about it a number of times here recently. And I still sometimes see it as a flaw. And for me to see it as a flaw, then I am actually diminishing myself. I'm telling myself that there's something weakening me. This weakens my structure, who I am, what I look like. Why can't this be perfect? So let's move to the metaphysical side of this understanding. What is a flaw? Is there really such a thing as a flaw? I've been reading a lot of Thomas Troward lately, and I'm about to teach a Troward class right after Beyond Limits. Thomas Troward is the judge, the metaphysician, the philosopher, the brilliant mind that Ernest Holmes literally created religious science from. And when you read Thomas Troward, you're reading Ernest Holmes, because he basically just reiterated it. And I laugh when I say, he just made it more readable. In his 8,000-page book, he made it more reasonable and readable. But now, of course, there's an even better way to understand it. So the question is, are you willing to see your entire life from the truth that it's all God? It's all God. All God. Everything. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And you can call it those things, but you have to understand you're just calling God ugly in that moment. There's not God and the ugly, God and the bad. There's not good and the bad. There is just good. There is absolutely just good. And it's all part of this thing called you. You are all of it. And you can call it flaw, but if you're willing to call it flaw, then what you're really doing is you're saying to yourself, there's something in me less than. And there just isn't. Pull up a flaw. Just pull up a flaw into your mind. What do you see as one of your flaws? Does that really diminish you? Does it really make you less than? Or is it just part of your personality that you now have the opportunity to make a different choice on? Make a different choice. I can make a different choice about my neck. I can make a different choice about anything in my life if I'm willing to see it through the eyes of truth, spiritual truth. So, I want to read you this Ernest Holmes quote. He says this: "We are over-concerned with non-essentials, straining at gnats while swallowing mountains of superstitions." I had never seen this quote before. We are over-concerned with non-essentials. Our flaws are non-essentials. We really are. They really are. Straining at gnats, at things that aren't even there. You ever have that happen? While swallowing mountains of superstition. Our number one superstition is that we have to become perfect. That's a superstition. Watch television. You will be shown how to become perfect. Look at any of the big billboards. They will show you the perfect people. This is what you should aspire to. This is what you should look like. This is how you should act. This is who you should be. This is how you should be. Growing up gay, for me, in a household with cops and football players, I was told every single day I was imperfect. Totally imperfect. When I would come to that kitchen table with my little ballet bag, and everybody else would have shoulder pads, and I don't mean the ones in their shirts, shoulder pads and helmets, and they're all like, and I'm like, with my little ballet bag, and I just remember the disdain from those looking at me at that table. My father, God love him, but the poor man, Mr. Cop, Butch Cop, football coach, and there's his son with his ballet bag. That had to be difficult for him. He probably saw his life as flawed for giving birth to someone like that. And I'm projecting, he's not here to say how he felt, but I know it was uncomfortable for him. It was very uncomfortable for him, just as it was uncomfortable for me. And yet, it is possible for us to live in a world where none of those things are uncomfortable anymore because we actually understand it's all God. It's all good, and it's all okay. And there's not this superstition to having to become perfect. So the talk title, What Are You Hiding Behind? In the four legs of a table, when we talk about our lives, we talk about health, creative expression, finances, and relationships. So you've got these four things that you're looking at. This makes your table strong. If you are in a healthy body and you are in very strong, powerful, responsible relationships, and you allow your creative expression to flow through you, and you have the money you need in life, and you understand prosperity from the inside out, you have a powerfully strong table. No wobbling there. You don't need those little things to stick under one of the legs. You have a great table. So the question is, where of these legs, where are you hiding behind something on there that doesn't work? Where are you just putting Band-Aids on? Where are you covering up that which needs to be looked at? Because here's the real deal that I want to talk to you about today. You have to be willing to look at what you call flaws. You have to be willing to actually say, most of us cover them up. Most of us have this camouflage that covers them up, and they stay back here in the subconscious mind doing the work they're doing. Still acting, still creating your life from a belief that I am flawed this way. Something about me is flawed. So, I'm saying, let's bring them out. Stop hiding behind them. Let's bring them to the surface. Where are you flawed? And can you look at it in a way that turns it around for you? Can you look at it in a way that suddenly you're no longer flawed? You really are what we say every Sunday, the absolute perfect expression of God, even in this moment, even with whatever flaw you think you have going on. So, This week, we've been really busy cleaning up the building, getting rid of all the stuff around the building. And how funny, because talk about be careful what you wish for. I had a prop that I was going to use today. They cleaned it up and threw it out. But I'll tell you why. You'll see why in a minute. So our air conditioning, although, anybody hot? Yeah. So I don't know what happened, why it didn't go on at the right time or something, but we had the air conditioning maintenance this week, believe it or not, as I feel the sweat pouring down the back of my shirt. And so what he did is he came in and he showed me that the filters were just cruddy, so thick with dirt, so that the cool air could not actually make its way through the filter. So I was going to bring you in one of those dirty filters, which I saved. Apparently, I didn't. It's now not saved. And it had dirt, and it was literally cruddy with dirt, because I got it. Everything to me is a metaphysical story, is a lesson. No matter what I do, there's some metaphysical lesson in it. So he's pulling these down, and he's like, you got to do these sooner. I was like, in mind as well. Because that's how I see it. And what I did was I understood that the filter represented me, the filter. And when we allow our minds to get gunked up with this stuff, this dirt, dirty thoughts like, I'm less than, or being gay is less than, or being a lesbian is less than, any of it. I didn't go to college, I'm less than, I'm not smart as everybody else. Whatever it is you have, I'm not as talented as that person there. I don't have enough money, so clearly I don't understand money, I'm less than. Whatever it is, my body's too big. I need to lose weight, so God, I'm really less than those people that are perfect. Look at them up there, that's what you're supposed to look like. Whatever it is causes all this dirt to be the camouflage of your life. And it stops this divine energy from flowing through. So the air doesn't come out. The energy doesn't come out. It's still there. It has never changed. Ever. It has never changed. It never stops flowing. That thing that in you, that is the creative essence of life, is the Niagara Falls of energy. It's constantly roaring and roaring through us, but we can build dams. We can let the dirt of our minds create a wall so that it can't get through and it just finds another outlet, which is not us. Our individual selves. It goes somewhere else and bypasses us. And so it's up to us to actually look and say, what am I hiding behind? What is here? What is causing me to not be solid in my finances? What is it in me that is causing me to have relationships that just are not beneficial to me? What is it in me that keeps getting sick? What is it in me? Someone said to me last week, I said, are you worried that the cancer is coming back? I went, you know, when something is obliterated and gone, how can it come back? It already went to the netherlands of where it came from. No, I am not afraid. But there are people that are afraid and spend their whole lives, there's their camouflage. I'm going to stay back here and hope it never gets me again. Oh my God, you're growing it back there. So what is it in you that is literally camouflaging you from the truth of who you are, that's stopping you from literally filtering the truth through and just using you as a vessel? That's what those filters are for. Those filters are in this air conditioning ducts, they're for the fact that everything just flows through and it will stop whatever's not real. The problem is, if you keep giving it that which is not real to stop, it will eventually build a wall of everything that's not real. And then you know what you have to do? You have to change the filter. You have to get rid of the filter. And I loved it when he tore that down and then came in with this clean filter and put it up, and just put it up there. And the air was working great until y'all showed up. So, I don't know what happened. So where is it in your life? I love it. I feel like I'm in the South. I feel like I'm in some southern church and we're all just fanning ourselves. You should be up here with all these lights. So where is it in your conscious mind that you have created a wall of camouflage? And what are you hiding behind? I can't tell you how many people, as we're about to start CPR again, how many people hide behind the lack filter. I am someone who lives in lack. Or I was kidding the other day about my family. in Beyond Limits class, I was kidding that my family, one of their mottos in life was, and still is for many of them, we never get the breaks. That was their motto. That was their belief system. We never get the break. Our family never gets the breaks. That's a filter. That's a filter that's so thick, nothing can get through. And even if it starts to get through, something happens so that you can actually still be able to say, see? We never get the breaks. So what are you living behind, stopping this flow of divine creativity and passion and prosperity and success and love? What are you putting in front of that that's catching it and rerouting it somewhere else, away from you, somewhere else? Because every single one of us in this room has the opportunity and has the birthright to be able to be successful and powerful and passionate and rich beyond our wildest imaginations. When I hear people say, I'm comfortable, and I think to myself, is this opulent universe here just to make me comfortable? I don't think so. And I also think that when I get comfortable, the universe says, oh my God, why are you so comfortable in that tiny little stream? You are the entire ocean. Here. Anybody ever go through that moment? When the universe comes in and just goes, and now all of a sudden you're like, what? Who am I? So there's your chore for the week. To really, really be willing. This is Taking Action Month, and I've taken this very seriously in my mind all week. I'm like, I cannot go through this month without taking action whenever it occurs to me to take action. And so I'm saying for you this week, it is your job to spend time this week, spend conscious time, not as an afterthought on Wednesday or Thursday. What did he say? Oh yeah, what was that? Do I have any things that bother me? Do I have any filters? Do I have any, flaws? Oh, I don't want to think about that. Because life will just keep going on exactly the way it is. And I know that we all have the power to change it, to redirect this divine energy. Because if we are correct, and if what the spiritual science teaches is correct, that there is an energy, a flow of energy that I am, not that is there for me to use even. I love the way Dr. Holmes said there's a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. But we have moved past what he said in 1927. It is not 1927 anymore. It's 2015, almost 16. So it is time to get beyond there's a power for good in the universe greater than you are. No, there is a power in the universe, not good, not bad, just creative, and it's what you are. It's what I am. The only way I get to use it is by using my mind to know what I need to know and to know what I want to know. And that does not include entertaining my flaws from a place of there's nothing to do about them. It includes me saying, I'm in charge, I have choice. And if I see this as a flaw, there's something wrong with that, and I'm going to know the truth about it. So there's your job for the week. To really recognize, how are you living your life? From what vantage point? Are you living it from the allness, the perfection of the universe? Or are you living it from a set of values and principles and flaws that you have accepted and adopted as your own? This is who I am. No. Who you are, the I am of who you are, is so big, is so profoundly moving. When you get in touch with that, I dare you to even see a flaw in that moment. When you are coming from within, I dare you to see a flaw in that state of consciousness. I'm going to invite Heather back up here and the ladies. And Ray. So, when you're thinking this week about what am I hiding behind, thank you, I really want you to give some thought, some profound thought to what you believe when it comes to spiritual science, to what we teach here. Do you believe that you are God? Do you believe that you are this energy, this power, this creative life force? And not just a piece of it, not just a little wave or drop, Do you believe that you have the power to be all of it, to entertain it all, to know it all, from a place that is so deeply felt that you're like the guy that came here this week and just pulled everything out of the ceiling and said, now where do you see how this flows? Where do you see how this air flows through these filters? I'll call him tomorrow and talk to him about that. Could very well be that there's some flaw that we haven't been willing to look at. We may need a new company. But that is I'm glad that we can laugh about this because I really am very hot. And I'm hot. But I'm glad we can laugh about this because if I can laugh in the face of what I see as a flaw, I'm that much closer to really knowing what that really is. And so are you. So, Heather has written this beautiful song that I wanted to use to close my talk. And it's called, appropriately enough, I Am. And it really doesn't allow for anything else. And there's one lyric in here. Listen, really pay attention to these lyrics. Let me know which is your favorite lyric, because I'm going to tell you mine at the end. And if you can pull the lights down a little bit, Mark.
I am a gift of love, and I am more than enough. I am a divine in form, the lioness that roars, and I am a light of 1,000 suns, and I am the darkness, the void that hums. I am creation all wrapped in one. I am, I am, I am, I am. And I am the mother's touch, the Father, the daughter, the Holy Son. I am a breath and the family of one. I am, I am, I am, I am. Here's my heart undivided, my body your temple, lest I forget. A hedge of protection, a mirror reflection, a life of devotion is all that I have. Oh, I am, I am, I am, I am, oh, I am, I am, I am, I am.
And so, when Heather, God, when Heather sent me that, I was sitting at my desk and I just turned it on and I was about to do something and I heard her very first words and I stopped and I listened and it was really kind of remarkable, especially when she got to the words, I am a breath of the one family. Because that's the one that got me. I am a breath of the family of one. I am a breath in the family of one. You see, if we really acknowledge and if we're really willing to embrace the idea that there is only one, then we're not so quick to see the flaws in everybody else. because it's the same as ourselves. And if we're willing to turn it to us first and look at myself and say, I am not flawed. There's nothing about me flawed. All that I am is God. And there are things I'd like to change. And I get to change them. But when I go to flaw, I step into the world of, oh my God, I'm stuck. I am probably not going to lose this scar. I mean, it's there. So what if I really saw that as a flaw and I had to live with it for the rest of my life? And I would say there are probably things in all of you that you may be living with, thinking you have to live with this flaw for the rest of your life. And now you've got to create something to make it not look like a flaw, and now you have to hide behind it. And now the flow of who you truly are is blocked. So spend this week being willing to uproot whatever needs to be uprooted and say to yourself, I am a breath in the family of one. I am the divine. Everything about me is God. Everything about me is good. And if I don't like something, it's something in this major, multiplice, beautiful universe that I can change to something that I do want. It's all about choice. You get to decide. So this week, choose. Come out of the closet as God. Let the world see you as God. There is no more hiding the fact that right where you are, namaste. Thank you, sweetie.